driven some stock Supras, and you can say, like, are the people who haven't driven it on the internet that say, it's just a BMW, it sucks, it's not good, are they right?
No. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is well digested after Thanksgiving. We haven't been on YouTube for about 2 weeks now. We do have something special. I know some of those comments down there from the last drive, they were like, hey, do some burnouts. We could do some burnouts and some 0 to 60 launches. But we have a special guest today. Jared from Carbuzz is here to... Hi, Jared.
Hi guys, I'm Shmee.
Wait a minute.
Wait, wrong YouTuber.
Wait, wrong YouTube channel.
But yeah, I'm Jared. I write for a site called Carbuzz, carbuzz.com. You can check us out, or you might already have our app on your iPhone or iOS device.
I know I do.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, Merrick keeping it real with the Carbuzz news.
How was your Southwest flight?
Southwest flight was pretty good. Had late boarding, but got a middle seat up towards the front of the plane. Not bad.
Delayed, but not delayed.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm actually here with Toyota sent me. I'm going to be driving the new Highlander tomorrow, which is not...
So check that out.
Check that out, but it might not be quite as special as what we're about to drive, which is your guys' manual swapped Supra. So I'm the first journalist to get to drive this.
Yeah.
Oh, lucky me.
First in the world.
He always gets the first stuff.
Beat you, Shmee. Beat you, Matt Farah.
Oh.
Beat all of you guys to it.
Oh.
You guys will drive it too, but I was first. So what have we got here? You guys want to talk me through it?
So this is the brand new 2020 Supra.
2020 GR Supra.
GR Supra. It looks pretty basic.
Pretty stock.
No wide body kit, no big wings, stock wheels.
Stock wheels.
But the only difference is it's got a BMW 6-speed manual transmission with a Z4 shift knob.
Yeah, and Toyota doesn't make it that way, unfortunately.
No, they
So
don't.
when you go out and talk to them later.
Yeah,
No, tell them not to. Tell them not to.
I will be having dinner with Toyota's PR people tonight, actually. So I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of pictures, and they're going to maybe have a lot of questions for me. So let's see what Toyota has to say about this car.
Before we drive this, I think you should drive the Scud.
Scud.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that's the car that we first published on Carbuzz, and kind of got your guys' name out there. Now I think everybody
You're the
knows.
guy. You're the one. You started it all.
I think everybody knows ZAG. I've coveted the F430 and the 430 Scuderia since I was a kid. So to drive the only manual one in the world, gonna be pretty special.
So before I ruin you with this Supra, I'm going to ruin you with the Scud. So to the Scud.
What'd you think?
I'm ruined.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh. I'll say it. I'll come out and say it to camera. Best car I've ever driven. Many reasons why. I've driven McLarens, I've driven more modern Ferraris as well, but none give you the gratification of that engine, and when you get the gear change just right, the metal on metal sound is just kind of unlike, you can't mimic it with pulling a paddle. Pulling a paddle just doesn't give you that feel, and the Scuderia itself is such a phenomenal car because there's no weather, stripping in it, the carpets are ripped out, you hear everything, all the buzziness of that V8. The steering is telepathic, and I think with all the modern computers, you just don't get the, oh my god, I'm about to poop in my pants level terror that you get with this car being a manual like this. Oh my gosh.
So ruined, huh?
Ruined.
That's what they all say.
Absolutely.
Get it for like 7,000, you're like, there it is! It's sick, right? Yeah.
Are you ruined or is the car ruined?
I'm ruined. I'm going to, next time Ferrari, if I ever get a Ferrari press car, I'm going to drive it and I'm just going to be thinking of this and being like, what idiot would spend 400 grand when this exists?
Right,
So,
exactly.
But it's a fake Ferrari though.
Oh, yeah, it's not real.
Oh, yeah,
It's not real, it's fake.
Yeah, Ferrari didn't build this car. Shame on you, Ferrari. You guys were the ones that should have built this car. And we're about to go find out if shame on Toyota as well, because we're going to be driving manual Supra. Let's find out if shame on Toyota for not putting a manual on that car, too.
So we're in the manual 2020 Supra and taking it out for a drive here.
Yeah.
It's a little wet in San Antonio today, so roads are a little slippery.
Yeah, we're fighting for traction a little bit, even with stock power, yes.
So it does have stock power right now. We did turn traction control completely off because we're losing, the tires here. And the traction control's kicking in, and it's a notorious BMW where it kind of just cuts the throttle and doesn't let you, keep going.
Yeah, we're running into issues where when I was trying to do a first to second gear pull, it's like, no, that's way too dangerous. So yeah, you're gonna want to turn the traction control off, and you're gonna want to do silly things in this car. But we are in sport mode, or we're not in sport mode?
We are not in sport mode, but we are in sport mode now.
Yeah, because sport mode gives you all pop-ups. That's still the same, right? Even with manual?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want all the... Oh, there they are. Yep, that's it. The pop-ups at high RPM. I love that. So we still have that for sure. But what did you say the gear ratio is on this?
So the gears are actually, they're very, very tall. It's a diesel, diesel transmission. Second gear, that's 78 miles an hour. That's second and third shift. Third to fourth is 122 miles an hour.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
there's going to be options. We're going to have different gear ratio options, 2 different transmission options, and also rear end options for customers depending on what build they want. If they're looking for taller gears, they want more power, they want to shift less, they want to go over 200 miles an hour, we'll have that option. But if it's just a city car, you want a little bit of power, we're going to use a different transmission or a different rear end, probably like from the 315 to a 410 rear end to kind of get the shifts to where people want it.
So if you're doing a half mile, this would be ideal for that.
This would be ideal.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now we're on stock power, so it's kind of taking us a little bit longer, to get through the RPM range and get into the mile per hour that you need. But funny thing is, before you showed up, we were at Boost Logic trying to put more power through the drivetrain, and right about 520, 530, 550, I don't remember exactly what the number is, we started to slip the stock clutch that we used here. The clutch that we use is a stock 135i clutch, and it just didn't want to hold the power, so we're having a little bit of issues with the throw-out bearing and the clutch where it glazed over. But fortunately enough for us, X Clutches sent us over a performance clutch. It's a twin disc. We have it at the shop, so it's there. Thank you, X Clutches. I mean, they were on the ball. Called them, said, "Hey, I got an emergency," and they immediately overnighted a clutch. So we do have a performance clutch going into this right before we do our 1,000 horsepower build with Boost Logic.
And that's good because it'll hold, like you said, 1,000 horsepower, but it's probably going to be heavier than the clutch I'm driving.
Shorter, heavier, yeah.
That's what happens when you have 1,000 horsepower, people. You need a really heavy clutch. Try finding a car with a light clutch and 1,000 horsepower. I'll wait.
Yep.
Not going to find too many of those. And then you said the pedal box that I'm driving is not the one that customers are going to be getting.
Right, so the pedal box that we used here, since we had a delay shipping from Germany, there was a back order on the actual pedal box that we needed. Those aren't coming in until January, so this is the pedal box out of an M4 at the moment. The M4 cabin is slightly deeper, and the foot room is it's a lot larger, so they moved the pedal box over to the left a little bit more versus the 2 Series. And they also bring the pedal.
2 Series is slanted to the right, or you sit sideways, or at least that's what I've never felt that, but I've heard other journalists say that. Because I will tell you, when I first got in this car, I thought it was a bit weird that I had to keep moving. I moved the seat up to where I could push the clutch in all the way, and then I went to go move to push the gas, and I was like, oh wait a minute, now I can't reach the gas pedal, so I had to move it a little further than I would otherwise be comfortable with. So now my foot is kind of in an awkward position to push the clutch, but it'll be different for the car the customer is going to get.
Right, yeah, and that's the same thing I noticed. So I had to move the seat all the way back just because in the M4 it's so much deeper. Those pedals are brought forward. It would almost be cool to do like what Dodge does, you know, with the pedal button where it brings the pedals to where you want
the moving pedals.
just in case you have a short person that wants to drive the car. But
yeah, that would be an interesting scenario there. I think Dodge is like the only company that does that too. What are you thinking with Toyota? I know I'm gonna have dinner with Toyota later this night, and I'll try and if you guys want to do like a follow-up where it's just you, I'll try and tell you what Toyota says at dinner tonight about this manual car.
I'm curious.
I'll tell them all about it, because I'll tell them, well, the one I drove, you know, had long gears and the pedal box wasn't quite right, but I could feel how good this car should have been, like from the get-go. And from everything I've heard from them, they have no intention. No intention of doing, because it's a small market. There's not that many people, you know, buying sports cars anymore, so it would cost them too much money to do this. Like, you're finding out how hard is it to make sure the pedal box is right.
Right.
And
it's a lot of R&D.
Yeah, a lot of R&D.
Sure.
And
that's the thing, like, people online, they're like, oh, well, you should use this and this and this, and people just don't understand, like, how much goes into it. Like, you know, we were trying to build this car before SEMA, and, you know, we had about a month and a half, so it's like, you know, we were scraping for parts and, you know, calling BMW, and they were calling Germany, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, we'll have your pedal box in 2 weeks. Come to find out, oh, wait a second, it's on back order because they're not producing many manual cars, so it's like those parts are very limited. And it's not like these people are crashing these BMWs, so it's not like, I mean, that's not a part you would really need to replace anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like they don't have just a complete supply. I mean, if we need to, you know, eventually redesign it and have our own production, then that's what we need to do to make it, you know, correct.
And if you've got customers handing you a brand new Supra, you'd be more confident saying, we just got this part off the shelf from BMW than out of a wrecked M2,
Right.
you know, or so, you know, something like that.
Right,
And
exactly.
I think the customer might be happier with that as well, because this transmission is just straight off the shelf.
Straight off the shelf from BMW. Like, originally when we knew that this was the only transmission that could bolt up to it, you know, we still needed to get it done. The gear ratios weren't really a factor at that point, because we can always switch out the rear end, the gearing in the rear end, to try to match the performance of the 8-speed automatic. And, you know, from the calculations, we would need to switch out that 315 to a 410 at this point in the stock form to get close or even on par to that 8-speed automatic. But, I mean, you know, can't complain. It kind of drives like a Corvette, like it reminds me of a C7.
It does. It really, at least with the manual that is in it currently, it feels less like a sports car and more like a GT car, like an LC500. Because an LC500 also has really long gears, and it's really comfortable and it's really quiet. But then when you do go down 2 or 3 or 4, in the case of the 10-speed automatic, the LC, like 5 gears, it turns into a savage, you know, car.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that if you're planning on doing track days, the shorter gear ratio is going to be better. But if this car will probably do 200 miles an hour easily.
Yeah, from the calculations, and with about 800 to 1,000 wheel horsepower, it should achieve 220, you know, between 215 and 220 easily.
And I know there are people that have 335i coupes now with the N54 engine, and that's what they do with their cars. They go 200 miles an hour on a runway and they beat Veyrons on a which is crazy. But if those people want something new, it's probably going to be one of these.
Yeah. The only thing that's questionable about the Supra, and it's once you start getting over a certain mile per hour, it seems like the car just kind of shifts from side to side. So I don't really know what the aerodynamics may play a factor into that.
Well, interestingly, Toyota told us when, you know, I was on the press launch for this car when it first came out, that all those scoops and vents, you know, none of them are open, none of them are real, which, you know, people are like, why would you put vents? Well, because they look cool. But Toyota said if you want to open them up for cooling or for aero or whatever, all of them were designed from the factory to be open.
It just requires a Sawzall.
Yeah, requires a Sawzall, so you do have to cut into your car a little bit, but all those aero vents are there, and they did put them there for a reason. So if you are trying to build some kind of race car, some kind of highway pull car, which you guys are famous for here in Texas with your big highways.
Right.
You know, you're famous for CTSV and Hennessy. Hennessy's from here.
Everything's bigger and faster in Texas.
Everything's bigger and faster in Texas, except for this particular Supra.
And longer gears.
Longer gears.
And longer gears.
Yeah, longer gears. Yeah, it is kind of like a Corvette or a CTSV or one of those types of cars with really long gears. They're not meant to be like real snickety. American cars aren't like that.
So yesterday, because it didn't rain yesterday, so I kind of had the opportunity to drive the car in dry weather a little bit for the first time after getting it from Boost Logic, and with a little bit of clutch slip, but you know, it is what it is. Did a little first gear to second gear from Dig, and I gotta say, it gets up there pretty quick to 70 miles an hour, because you don't have to shift 3 times to get there. So you kind of launch in first, you hit it in second. By the time you know it, it's already wrapping out in second gear. You're ready to go to third at 80 miles an hour. That was pretty cool.
I think that was it was either the WRX or the STI. One of them was like slower because you had to go into third gear to hit 60 miles an hour.
Right.
If you can do 60 in second, it really drops the time down. But you know, you don't want to make the gears too long because then it's not fun enough, and you run into that. So it's just something that manufacturers don't deal with anymore, because they're all like, well, people are only buying automatics, so we're only going to make automatics. So it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point.
The Corvette could have been faster if they had shorter gearbox. The C7.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you look at why they went mid-engine. They ran out of ability. You know, the rear engine or front engine car wasn't going any faster.
Right.
They couldn't get it to 60 any quicker with 300 extra horsepower. The Scuderia was a bit lively, although that car feels so natural that like I could feel it get loose, and it didn't really scare me. I was like, oh, I'll just time it down, you know, time to upshift.
Best manual car you've driven, huh?
Best manual car I've driven. I've never driven best supercar, best car I think I've ever driven. Like, there's so many best ofs on that. Not that the Supra isn't a fantastic car, but and there's no way I would want to drive the Scuderia every day.
Yeah.
It's not an everyday car. There's no sound deadening. It's pretty stiff. That amount of power, you would get used to it, and then the moment it's icy one day, you'd kill yourself.
Oh,
like
right.
100%. The Supra, so quiet in here. You've got all this BMW technology and all that. So I think this with a manual would just be such a nice daily driver. I'd be so happy to drive one of these. I'd be happy with an automatic too, but I feel like I'd be missing something.
It's a great GT car. I drove one of these cross country.
Yeah.
Very comfortable.
You drove this, or your first,
the white one.
Your white one,
yeah.
your first one. Yeah, you drove because you bought it.
That one came out of Alabama.
In another state. So yeah, it is a nice car to just drive all the time. Like, anybody I think that's complained, so you can comment because you have driven some stock Supras, and you can say like, are the people who haven't driven it on the internet that say it's just a BMW, it sucks, it's not good, are they right?
No.
No.
They have no idea what they're talking about.
No.
And you know what? I think that Toyota went to BMW for a reason.
For a reason. I agree.
And it's like, you know, just like everybody, you know, everybody else will tell you, when you're looking at a window sticker on a BMW, the first thing at the top that you notice, the ultimate driving machine. They did change that for a while there. I don't know what the slogan was there for a while, but they changed it to something, and then they went back to the ultimate driving machine.
The ultimate driving machine has just changed over time, because look at Formula One. That is the ultimate driving machine. And in the 70s, that meant a manual transmission. That meant, like, you know, crazy power, no traction control. Look at a Formula One car now. They're automatic, they're whatever. So it's just changing what it means to be the ultimate driving machine right now. And people who liked cars back then with manual transmissions and that were really leery, it's just not like you said you loved the new M5.
Love the new M5.
And that's an automatic.
And that's an automatic.
It's still a great car.
I know what it is in that thing. It's how quick it is, the responsiveness, but it's that X-Drive system.
Yes,
it's amazing.
It gets you out of the hole. Now, X-Drive with a manual would be pretty darn cool as well.
Yeah.
Because you'd be able to get out of the hole super quick. Let's not total the car.
So that's another thing that we're kind of contemplating in this car, since it is all BMW components. once we get to that 1,000 horsepower mark, I don't know, because I mean, when you get to that 500 in this car, 600, it just doesn't want to stay on the road anymore. For instance, like the white one right now is tuned to about 550, 600, and that thing it's all over it's ice skating.
Yeah. Wider tires. I mean, you probably have to do a wide body kit to get those tires on there. Because what are they on the back now?
285?
Yeah, that's not a lot for a real. Because the Mustang GT500 has 315s.
Yeah.
That's what you would need. You would need some 315 Pilot
or X-Drive
back there, or X-Drive.
What do we think about a Mark V Supra, 1,000 horsepower manual all-wheel drive X-Drive?
That would be quite interesting, depending on how hard that would be to swap in. Because I guess they do a 2 Series with all-wheel drive. You can get a 240 M240i with all-wheel drive. So maybe
it's the B58. It's all about that oil pan.
And then lift it up, Safari build, rally build it.
Exactly.
Rally build Supra. God, the ideas are endless here. But yeah, I do think that this car should have had a manual from the get-go. I think that this one has a little bit of ironing out, pedal box, which is not the pedal box we're going to be getting. Traction control, maybe just leave that off, or honestly,
if you want to go fast, I mean,
if you want to go fast, you're best doing it with a manual, or with the traction control off, mind you. And I would prefer the shorter gear ratios, but it depends on what you're doing with the car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the more power you add, I mean, you're going to want to not shift as much.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be able to, it's going to be hard to put the power down too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you'll run out of gear. If you're trying to run 600 horsepower, you'll run out of gears way quick. And
first gear, second gear, by the time you know it, you're in 4th gear spinning tires.
Yeah, but I would prefer more Miata gearing than Corvette gearing. That's just me, but
And some people like the stock power of the Supra, so if you just want to kind of, just a GT car, you want to cruise around, put a manual with the shorter gears in it, and just have a blast.
Absolutely.
All right, we're back.
Yeah.
All right,
All of the funds.
So, probably Toyota should have built a manual transmission from the get-go. Although, I will say, I think I would prefer shorter gearing on it. And again, the car I just drove, you said it's not quite what a customer
this is our R&D car. So.
R&D car still. So they've got a few things to work out before it's absolutely perfect. But you can tell when you're going from 2nd to 3rd gear and then 3rd to 4th, you're like, oh yeah, this is what a Supra would feel like if it had a manual transmission. And it's just really gratifying to hear the straight 6 and be able to shift it yourself. And I think I'm really happy that you guys are doing this and putting it all together.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right, I appreciate it.
A guy that actually knows how to drive manual. He drove this Scud. I mean,
I do, and I'm a millennial too. So all you boomers out there, millennials do know how to drive stick, or at least this one does.
Okay, boomer.
You know how to drive manual?
Yes.
So guys, check it out. Like and subscribe. I got to thank X Clutches for sending us a clutch kit overnight. That was great. So we're going to start making more power in this car. We're going to install that clutch here this week before it goes back to Boost Logic. I want to thank our sponsors, Sussex Auto, for providing the transmission. Roselux, Go for Trans, and Hydrotest. Thank you guys. I mean, you made this possible. As Jared said, this is still our R&D car. This is not a customer version of what we're gonna sell you guys. But longer gears, shorter gears. Just comment below. Tell us how you want us to build this car. And I mean, there's plenty of options for this build. So however you want it, we'll build it for you. But until then.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, fuck. I thought I said that.
No, you didn't.
So until then, stay tuned, like and subscribe, and comment below. See you on the next one.